Vitamin D deficiency and chronic sadness, the quiet storm inside you. There's a kind of sadness that doesn't cry. It doesn't grow tantrums or keep you up sobbing through the night. It just lingers. You wake up not devastated, not even panicked, just flat. Like the colors of your life have been dimmed to grayscale. You eat breakfast, but it tastes like cardboard. You talk to people, but the words feel like they belong to someone else. There's no breakdown, no drama, no clear reason to feel this way. And yet, it's there. This quiet fog, it's not always a life event. It's not always trauma. Sometimes it's chemistry. And sometimes it's vitamin D. Yes, that simple little nutrient we dismiss as sunshine in a bottle might just be the missing piece in your emotional puzzle. I know how that sounds. Vitamin D deficiency causes sadness? It seems too easy, too unromantic, like blaming a broken heart on a missing pill. But hear me out, because the truth, as always, is more layered, more personal, and yes, more powerful than most of us realize. I don't know what's wrong with me. That's the line I've heard countless times from patients. Men and women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, who've lived full lives. They're not new to hardship. They've grieved, they've survived. But now they just feel off. They're not falling apart, but they're not thriving either. They've lost their spark. They sleep too much, or can't sleep at all. Their energy is low, even after a full night's rest. Food is bland, hobbies are a chore, conversations feel forced. And worse, they've accepted it, as if this slow decline is just part of getting older. But it's not always aging. Sometimes it's something as small and fixable as a vitamin. The brain needs sunlight, literally. Vitamin D isn't just about bones or calcium. It's a neurosteroid, meaning it affects how your brain works. It helps regulate serotonin, that magical mood chemical that keeps us feeling steady, hopeful, and connected. Low vitamin D, low serotonin, emotional flatness, apathy, or sadness. And here's the twist. Your body can't make vitamin D without sunlight. But most older adults, we avoid the sun, or we're indoors, or we wear sunscreen, or our skin, over time, just becomes less efficient at converting UV rays into this crucial nutrient. You could be eating well, exercising, even taking multivitamins, and still be chronically, quietly deficient. And your mood may be paying the price. What if it's not just in your head? You don't have to be bedridden to be struggling. You don't have to be clinically depressed to feel like something's wrong. And you don't have to wait until things fall apart to look inside your body for answers. Sometimes, the most life-changing breakthroughs start with the smallest tests. A vitamin D blood panel, a brief moment in the sun, a shift in understanding. Because maybe, just maybe, the light you've been waiting for doesn't come from the outside world. Maybe it starts in your bloodstream. And maybe you were never broken, just underlit. Vitamin D, the biochemical sunshine of emotion. Vitamin D is not just a nutrient. It's an ancient biological code, a signal of life that your body deciphers from sunlight. When sunlight touches your skin, it's more than warmth. It's transformation. Your body, like a masterfully tuned biological machine, begins to synthesize a silent compound, vitamin D3. But this isn't just a vitamin. Once activated, it behaves like a hormone, traveling through your bloodstream, reaching into every corner of your brain, immune system, bones, joints, and yes, even your soul. And here's what most people never realize. Vitamin D doesn't just help you stand tall, it helps you feel alive. Mood and vitamin D, the forgotten connection. For over 2 decades, scientists have been digging deep into the link between vitamin D and mental health. And the conclusion? Quiet but ground-shaking. A deficiency in vitamin D may cause your mood to spiral downward, and you might not even notice. A 2020 meta-analysis published in the British Journal of Psychiatry found that people with low vitamin D levels were twice as likely to suffer from depression. Another study, published in the Journal of Internal Medicine, revealed that vitamin D supplementation in deficient seniors significantly improved mental health scores. It sounds simple, but once you understand the mechanism, you'll never look at sunlight the same way again. Genetics, the brain-sunlight conversation, how it works. Vitamin D isn't just good for your bones. It's a powerful emotional regulator, a quiet conductor of the central nervous system. Specifically, it affects serotonin production, the neurotransmitter responsible for feelings of calm, joy, and emotional stability. Vitamin D plays a key role in the brain's conversion of tryptophan into serotonin. Neuroinflammation reduction. Chronic, low-grade inflammation in the brain is now linked to anxiety and depression. Vitamin D helps soothe this inflammation. Efficient neurosignaling, meaning it helps your brain cells talk to each other with clarity and precision. When you're deficient in vitamin D, things fall out of rhythm. Less serotonin. You feel down, detached, or irritable. More silent inflammation. You feel anxious, stressed, or overwhelmed. Sluggish neurotransmission. You lose focus, drive, and emotional resilience. And so you wake up not with energy or purpose, but with an emotional fog that hangs over your day like a gray sky before rain. Cloud. You're not lazy, you're missing a molecule of life. You don't need to fall into full-blown depression to feel the effects. Just look at those mornings where getting up feels like a burden. Those phone calls you don't want to answer. Those days when you feel like a rough draft of yourself. And sometimes, healing doesn't come from a self-help book, a motivational playlist, or a soulful conversation. It comes from light, from your bloodstream, from molecular rays of sunshine your body forgot it needed. If you'd like, I can write the next section too. Common signs of vitamin D deficiency that often mimic aging. Why older adults are more prone to deficiency even in sunny regions. How to test your vitamin D level, what ideal looks like, and how to supplement safely. Microscope. When light meets the mind. How vitamin D speaks to your brain. Let's go deeper, beyond the skin, beyond the bones, right into the command center of your life, the brain. Vitamin D doesn't just passively float through your body like some background vitamin. It walks straight into your neurons, knocks on the door of your neurotransmitters, and whispers instructions that change the very texture of how you feel. And the most important whisper? Make more serotonin. Yes, that serotonin, the feel-good chemical, the biological sunlight of your emotions. Without it, your world dims. Joy feels distant. Little irritations loom large. You don't crash, you fade. Slowly, softly, and for no clear reason. Vitamin D isn't just helpful in this process, it's necessary. It triggers serotonin synthesis in your brain, turning tryptophan, an amino acid, into the chemical that keeps you emotionally balanced. Reduces silent inflammation in the brain, a major culprit in mood disorders that most people don't even know exists. Supports the repair and protection of nerve pathways, ensuring that the signals of motivation, clarity, and calmness can flow without disruption. Now picture this. If you're running low on vitamin D, your brain becomes like a busy city during a blackout. Communication slows, signals get lost. Systems begin to stall. You feel tired even after sleeping, unfocused as if your thoughts are wrapped in cotton, irritable even in peace and quiet, emotionally flat. And sometimes this dullness goes on for months. You might not call it depression. You just say, "I'm not myself lately." Or worse, maybe this is just what getting older feels like. Clog. But I'm not depressed, just off. Here's where it gets subtle and serious. Most people think of depression as dramatic, crying spells, panic, hopelessness. But for many, especially seniors, the early signs are quieter.
It's the friend who stops calling, the man who no longer hums while making coffee, the woman who watches birds instead of painting them. They're not falling apart, they're slowly disconnecting from joy, from themselves, from life. And often, they're told this is normal. Everyone slows down at your age. Of course you feel tired, it's just life. You're not depressed, you're just older now. But aging is not a diagnosis. Sadness is not your birthright past 60. And emotional numbness is not some inevitable slide into the dark. Sometimes it's a signal. And one of the first things it may be signaling is this: you need more light inside.
Why older adults are at higher risk. As we age, our ability to produce vitamin D from sunlight naturally declines. Combine that with more time spent indoors, thinner skin that doesn't synthesize D as efficiently, poor dietary intake, chronic conditions like kidney or liver disease that impair activation of vitamin D, and you've got a perfect storm for deficiency. In fact, up to 70% of adults over 65 in the U.S. are vitamin D deficient, according to CDC data. Warning: the hidden symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. It's not always obvious, but here's what to watch for. Persistent fatigue or daytime sleepiness, muscle weakness or aches, bone pain or frequent fractures, brain fog, irritability or low tolerance to stress, loss of interest in life, feeling emotionally blunted. Notice how many of these overlap with symptoms of depression. That's the tricky part. Deficiency can masquerade as a mood disorder. Why older adults are quietly running out of vitamin D. It doesn't make a sound. No pain, no fever, no warning light on your dashboard. Just a slow dimming of energy, a creeping fog behind your eyes, a stiffness that wasn't there last year, and a certain heaviness in the heart. You might think it's just age catching up with you, but in many cases, it's not aging. It's a slow, invisible starvation of vitamin D. As we grow older, our bodies lose some of their ability to translate sunlight into this essential nutrient. Even if you're living in a warm, sunny state, here's what's working against you. Thinner skin that struggles to convert UVB rays efficiently. More time spent indoors, by choice or by circumstance. Poor absorption of nutrients from food due to changes in digestion. Chronic illnesses like diabetes, kidney disease, or liver dysfunction that interrupt the activation of vitamin D inside your body. It's like the system is still there, but the power cord is fraying. According to CDC data, nearly 70% of Americans over 65 have insufficient or deficient levels of vitamin D, most without knowing it. Why? Because the signs don't scream, they whisper. Vaulting the quiet symptoms that get dismissed as just aging. You might not feel sick, but you know something's off. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. You find yourself napping more during the day. The stairs feel longer. Your muscles ache after simple chores. You forget words. You lose track of what you were saying. And emotionally, it's like life is happening behind a glass window. These are the stealth symptoms of vitamin D deficiency. Constant fatigue or daytime sleepiness, unexplained muscle weakness or body aches, bone pain or frequent minor fractures, brain fog, slow thinking, poor memory, irritability, frustration or emotional instability, loss of motivation or disinterest in previously enjoyable activities, a sense of being emotionally muted or disconnected. Sound familiar? Now here's the tricky part. These symptoms almost perfectly with clinical depression. But for some, the root cause isn't psychological at all. It's biochemical. And the tragedy?
Too many older adults are put on antidepressants when what they may really need is sunlight, nutrient support, and a proper diagnosis. Sunlight. What if the light you're missing isn't emotional, but biological? Vitamin D deficiency doesn't knock down your door. It chips away at you. Bit by bit, week by week, it steals joy, strength, clarity, and connection. And you might spend years wondering, is this just how life feels after 65? No, my friend, not necessarily. Sometimes the fix isn't a therapist or a new routine. Sometimes it starts with a blood test and a walk in the sun.
500. When light touches the mind, how vitamin D speaks to the soul. Let's go beyond bones and sunlight. Let's step inside the most sacred space in your body, the mind. Not just your brain as an organ, but that quiet place where joy flickers, where memory lives, where purpose takes root. Vitamin D doesn't just stroll casually through the bloodstream. It walks with intention. It enters the corridors of your neurons, knocks gently on the gates of your neurotransmitters, and says, "We need more serotonin. This person's spirit is dimming." You see, serotonin isn't just a feel-good chemical. It's the light switch of emotional presence, the inner sunshine that helps you smile at a grandchild's joke, hum while stirring soup, or take joy in a breeze across your face. And without enough vitamin D, that switch flickers. Sometimes it goes dark. Low vitamin D, low serotonin, low light. Here's what most people don't know. Vitamin D activates serotonin production, turning a humble amino acid called tryptophan into your emotional stabilizer. It calms inflammation in the brain, that quiet, creeping chaos now linked to everything from anxiety to depression. It protects and heals your neural pathways, so signals of joy, motivation, memory, and peace can move freely again. But when you're running low on this essential nutrient, the whole system jams. Your mind becomes like a busy train station during a blackout. Delayed signals, missed connections, static on the intercom. And you don't collapse. You fade. You're tired, even when you sleep. You can't focus, like thinking through fog. You're irritable, even in silence. You don't cry, but you don't laugh either. You don't feel broken. You just don't feel much at all. You say things like, "I'm just not myself." Or worse, "Maybe this is what getting old feels like." But what if it isn't? Cloud, I'm not depressed, just off. Here's where it gets dangerously quiet. Most of us imagine depression as loud, crying, breakdowns, sadness that won't let go. But for many seniors, it tiptoes in gently, with subtle signs, with resignation, with a quiet turning away. It's the man who stops humming while shaving, the woman who stops painting, the friend who skips the group calls but doesn't say why. They're not falling apart. They're slowly unplugging from life, from joy, from themselves. And they're told it's normal. Of course you're tired. You're older now. Everyone slows down. This is just what aging looks like. But here's what I want you to hear. Aging is not an illness. Sadness is not inevitable. And numbness is not destiny. Sometimes the fog is not from within the soul. It's from the biology that supports the soul. Sometimes what's missing isn't purpose or willpower or therapy. Sometimes what's missing is light. If this resonates with you or someone you love, don't brush it off. Don't settle for the dimming. Let's explore the next question together. What can you do to bring the light back in? A story that might sound familiar. Mr. Roberts, age 67. He didn't come in crying. He didn't say he was depressed. He just sat quietly across from me and said, "Doc, I don't know what's wrong, but I feel like I'm fading." His name was Mr. Roberts, 67 years old, retired teacher, a man who used to play guitar for his grandkids and spend weekends gardening with his wife. But lately, no spark, no laughter, no energy. His wife was the one who finally nudged him to see me. "He's not sad exactly," she said, "but he's not himself either. It's like the light's gone out behind his eyes." So we ran some tests. Everything looked okay until we checked his vitamin D. It came back 14 ng per mil. To put that in perspective, anything under 20 is considered deficient. Under 15, dangerously low. No wonder he felt like a shadow of himself. Star, we didn't reach for a pill. We reached for the sun. I told Mr. Roberts the plan was simple, but serious. 15 minutes of morning sun, 3 times a week. A vitamin D supplement of 2,000 IU daily. A few small changes to his meals. Fatty fish twice a week. Fortified plant milk, and a little time outdoors instead of sitting by the window. Nothing extreme, no prescriptions, no therapy yet. Just restoring what nature once gave him freely. 8 weeks later, he walked back into my office. Same cardigan, same gentle smile. But something was different. His eyes lit up when he spoke. "I started walking again, Doc, just around the block. And yesterday, I picked up my guitar for the first time in months. My wife cried." This wasn't just about vitamin D. This was about reminding the body how to feel again. And sometimes that starts with letting the sun back in. Star, the bottom line, this isn't just about Mr. Roberts. It could be your neighbor, your spouse, your parent, or maybe it's you. You've been a little off lately. Not broken, not lost, just quieter than you used to be. You don't laugh as much. You forget why you walked into the kitchen. You don't say it out loud, but deep down you wonder, is this how the light goes out? Let me tell you something that most people won't. Sometimes it's not a broken spirit. Sometimes it's not age. Sometimes it's just a body that's missing the fuel it needs to feel alive. Star, a final note and a first step. If anything in this story felt familiar, don't wait. Ask your doctor for a vitamin D blood test. It's simple, it's inexpensive, and it might explain far more than you ever expected. Then make a plan. Step into the sun. Eat with purpose. Supplement wisely. Reclaim the light that's been quietly fading. Because the sun doesn't just warm your skin. Sometimes it rescues your soul.